Sure. And I guess I didn't speak to Nicole ahead of time. Nicole, did you want to start?
Sure. Hi,
All right.
everybody. I'm Dr. Nicole Ensley. I am the new apprenticeship coordinator for the University of Alaska Anchorage, and we have an exciting program. I'm joined here today by Ryan. Ryan, you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Ryan Cope. I am the Director of Federal Grant Programs with the Arctic Slope Community Foundation, and we are a proud sponsor and creator of an apprenticeship.
And it looks like you are doing double duty today. So I'm going to go ahead and share. I have a couple slides and it's kind of informal. Ryan and I can just talk about some processes and some things that we've done. Looks like I am not seeing an option to share. Oh, there it is. All right. So our program is called the Sunray Program. It's the strategic use of nationally registered apprenticeships for educators. And apprenticeship programs have been around for a while, but post-pandemic, they've become more popular and more accessible for the teacher career pathway. And so that's kind of how everything came to be. There's been significant turnover in teachers, and especially in Alaska, but nationwide post-pandemic. And that's one of my research passions. I've been knee deep in the research for that for the past few years. But you know, as we all know, the education landscape has changed after COVID, and there's just been rapid change and turnover for teachers, particularly in our rural and remote villages. So the way the apprenticeship program works is it's a great pathway to get people certified to become teachers, and in for individuals that may not have the traditional college preparation, and they didn't graduate high school and go straight to college and decide to become a teacher. It's a different pathway for them to become licensed teachers. And so the program in general kind of hinges on three different entities being involved. And so you'll see we have sponsors, which in this case is Ryan. So you need a sponsoring organization that's going to operate as they're going to operate the registered apprenticeship program. Basically, and Ryan, you can speak to this, but it's a lot of paperwork, right? It's a lot of paperwork with Department of Labor and getting things approved through them. It involves an employer. So you need somebody who's currently employed in a school, not as a teacher, but maybe as a paraprofessional or some other professional in the building in a school, or it could be a Head Start or a daycare facility, but some kind of educational setting. And then you need an education preparation program. In this case, it would be UAA. There are other universities and other education preparation programs as well. And they provide the classroom instruction, and also provide a way for on-the-job training and professional development that the employer provides, provide a pathway to get college credits for that. And so there's a lot of communication between all of the entities involved in the partnership. And then, in the middle is the apprentice, and they're the ones that are supported by multiple tiers of support so that they can become a classroom teacher. And then in the case of UAA, we certify pre-K to grade 3. Ryan, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of what the sponsor's responsibilities are and kind of your perspective on this partnership?
Sorry, I just dropped out for a minute. Was that a question to me?
Yeah, do you
Yeah.
want to talk a little
Okay.
bit about like what are your responsibilities as the sponsor, and kind of how do you see this partnership kind of going?
Right. Yeah, and I've got a couple of slides I'll share at the end too. But
Cool.
the partnership is something that I guess I didn't carve out, and so it's nice to talk about it a little bit. That it doesn't just happen with one organization in a vacuum. That there's a couple of organizations that all kind of have to work together. And the great thing is that I think that all of the partners that have been working on these apprenticeships in the state of Alaska so far. We've been pretty resourceful and adaptive, and I have to commend UAA, who has really probably dealt with a number of just crazy things that they wouldn't have normally dealt with. And now those things, we're trying to carve our or make our way through. I think that there's been a lot of learning, a lot of patience, but it's a good partnership because we're able to meet frequently and I guess really support each other in that development phase. It's kind of like we're building a plane while we're flying it. That's what we always say, but each group has that skill set, and really uh, in a they call it a blended apprenticeship style, and that's where you're taking the on-the-job learning. That's where you're taking the education program like UAA. You're blending those two things, and so you're really trying to maximize the value that you get from both of those parts by kind of making them symbiotic, if that makes sense. So having good cohesion among partners and being flexible and developing some good ideas as you go along, I'd say it's been key, but it's been good so far.
Excellent. So we do have five current sponsors, and a sixth one might be joining as well. And so there's a lot of different ways that an apprentice could get to our program. And so that their first step would be they would need to be, well, first of all, employed in a school or education setting. And then they would have, somebody would be sponsoring them. And so we have several that have already are approved sponsors through the Department of Labor. And then we have a couple others that are kind of working on their paperwork. It's always fun to do paperwork, but we have some more sponsors coming on board. And so this is quickly becoming a very popular option and something that's desperately needed in Alaska education right now. I'm going to talk briefly about from the apprentice perspective, like what they can do for why this would be beneficial to them, because maybe that might kind of help give the big picture. So I'm going to skip through a couple slides. We can always come back to those. But there are 4 different pathways that an apprentice can get their career goals met through the program that we operate, through the Sunray program. And so they can get their occupational education certification, which is kind of their first step. And if they want to continue on, they can go to Sunray 2, which would be their Associate of Applied Arts. And this whole time they're getting credit for on-the-job training and professional development their employer is offering. They're getting support. They're taking courses. Some courses are condensed, so it's the same coursework. It's just in a shortened amount of time. And so it might be a little more intensive, but it allows the apprentices to kind of move through their coursework maybe at a faster pace. And if they want to continue on after that, after they get their Associate of Applied Science, they can go to Sunray 3 and get their Bachelor's of Arts in Early Childhood Education, which leads to pre-K 3 licensure through deed. And so that's kind of the top row. There's an alternate pathway for those that don't want to teach pre-K to 3, and they can go on the Sunray 4 pathway and get their 62 credits of an Associate of Arts degree that seamlessly transfers over to UAS for their BA in elementary education and their BA in special education, and those both lead to licensure as well. So very flexible for apprentices and also flexible for our employers based on what they need, right? So a daycare or other educational setting might not necessarily need somebody with a bachelor's in early childhood. Maybe they want their employees to have the AAS or the OEC. So it's very kind of customizable depending on what the employer needs and what the apprentice's goals are. So that's kind of the overview of from the apprentice's perspective of kind of what they would get, the support they would get from the partners, and kind of their pathways for their career goals. Ryan, oh, looks like you might have gotten bumped out again. Ryan, if you're still on, did you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I can keep talking all day, but I know you said you had some things you wanted to talk about too. So,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
And I've got a computer that's not fully functional, but I'm going to try and share my PowerPoint here.
Okay. Gotta love
See
technology,
if I
right?
can, yeah, do a little bit of both here. It's that resourcefulness I was talking about. Yeah, so we've been through a couple of meetings where we've explained about our apprenticeship. Let me see here. So we put together like a handy PowerPoint that we use, and I think, it gives you a good idea of what the apprenticeship looks like from the sponsor side, and not just being a sponsor, but before we started out picking up an apprenticeship and deploying it, we had decided to create our own apprenticeship. And I think there's, some special meaning there, where us being a community foundation, we work with the villages in the North Slope of Alaska and now beyond. Um, we really wanted to develop something that would put at the forefront like the culture, the things, the language, the history, the people, the things about the region that make them that make it unique and special, and things that the qualities that would make those teachers coming from the region very valuable. And so we took a lot of time designing something where we could have just taken our own, just taken a paraprofessional or an ECE teacher apprenticeship off the shelf from DOL. We spent probably a year and a half in development of that first Tribal Educator Apprenticeship 1, which gets us to a paraprofessional credential. And right now we are working with UAA to finish our Tribal Educator 2 application, which would be the ECE teacher certification. Anyway, let me show you my PowerPoint here. That process of going through and applying for an apprenticeship, I think is what gave ours, a very unique feel, and I think it's been very appealing, not just to the participants, but also the communities and the schools. So ours is called a logvik. A logvik means a place to camp in Inupiaq. And we do also refer to it as the Tribal Educator Apprenticeship, but we like a logvik. Our mission at ASCF is to strengthen our culture of giving by improving the quality of life among the people of the Arctic slope. And like I said, we've now started working with other regions to help and provide our model, again, because it's very unique. And I think that as a sponsor, if you have that ability, that you should take the initiative to demonstrate that something like that is flexible enough to work in multiple regions. All right. So here's our Alagvik team, and I got to apologize if Samantha's in here today. Our co-PI Samantha, I couldn't find her picture, but it's Samantha Wade. Also Cheryl Anderson, who's here today. She's our grant writer and co-PI. I didn't mean to spell PIU. And of course, my name, Ryan Cope, the Director of Grant Programs. So we started off with something called Alagvik 1, Place to Camp. And kind of like what Nicole was saying, that we've identified that there's been an issue in our region where we haven't been retaining the teachers that we need in order to help them provide quality education to our students. So we wanted to try and mitigate turnover, but we didn't really know like what caused it. So we provided a culture-based enrichment program for new teachers to the North Slope. But again, it didn't target those things that do result in turnover. So it just came and went, and we didn't quite get the results that we wanted. So that brought us to our next idea, a Logvik 2.0, which we thought would be a little bit better if we framed it around local educators. Now, again, we'll enroll you. Anybody can come in and enroll, and we're happy to have everybody have that opportunity. But we specifically go to our village schools, and we look for those people that are in the community, who've grown up in the community, that are often the unsung heroes, that are like the third grade teacher when someone goes off on maternity leave halfway through the year. They're the ones who are always there, who inevitably end up in the classroom, who deserve some opportunity to earn a higher credential, a higher salary, and to make themselves better situated as leaders. And I think also from the student perspective that they would probably appreciate having more local teachers represented in the classroom. So we just thought this was a great idea. We went and applied for it. We won a grant 2022 to 2025. We also did just win a congressionally designated spending earmark for another $1 million. It didn't start in January, it just started in August. But every bit helps, and that's as we get more students, we're finding that there's a lot of costs associated with this. So it's something that if you're going to fund it with grants, you got to keep writing, you got to keep winning. We have funded this primarily through the Department of Education. And we decided to at first train educators from North Slope villages. Now we're also working with the Northwest Arctic Borough School District. We're working with the Kinnick Charter School or Kinnick Tribal School. And we recently created an agreement with the Lower Yukon School District. So we're kind of working our way around the state here. And again, we're looking for a good representative body in our students that can demonstrate that, throughout the different regions here, these rural communities, that this project can really work the way it's intended. We wanted to build all of this on those lessons that we learned from Dialogic 1. And so why is it so important? Again, we've got these unsung heroes in our classroom. They need that opportunity to grow. And then also, our students really need more local educators and more consistency, in terms of the teachers who show up year after year. And that's not to point a finger, but those folks from within our villages will probably stay there and work year after year, especially if you invest in them. The program objectives, we gathered data, we worked with our schools, our tribes, and, our tribes have made it very clear that education that puts the values of the tribe is something that's a top priority, especially on the North Slope. And so, we wanted to take that very serious. We then decided to develop a 4-year tribal educator apprenticeship model. And I say 4, but it's two-year apprenticeships, if that makes sense. We wanted to recruit or retain 15 participants each year. And so right now we've got 15. We actually started out with 18. I think we've had a little attrition, but that is to be expected. And I think we've got room for more. So we have open enrollment twice a year, and we're going to enroll more people before spring. This is a hybrid model. Department of Labor defines it as a mix between on-the-job learning and then that college coursework that they get through UAA. And what makes our program unique, where other programs are just based around the Department of Education standards, the standards for paraprofessional, standards for ECE teacher, we've crosswalked our standards with standards from the ICC. And that gives us those cultural standards that we really feel like that helps to develop the skills and ability of our local educators. So we wanted to reduce turnover and, see here, I went too fast. Improve student performance. So what is a tribal educator apprenticeship? I said it was two-year apprenticeships. So it's the Tribal Educator 1, which would basically get you to an AA, and you can test out with UAA to get a paraprofessional certificate. You also get from the Department of Labor a certificate that says you completed the apprenticeship, and that certificate is a professional credential that's transferable anywhere in the United States. Same thing with Tribal Educator 2. That one ends up and results in a teaching certificate, ECE teaching certificate. And a Bachelor of Arts in, I think it's Bachelor of Arts, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole, in early childhood education. Okay, good. And so roughly, and I could probably have updated this a little bit, but we're talking, it's each apprenticeship is about 3,000 hours of on-the-job learning. And so 6,000 if you go the whole 4 years, or how many ever it takes you. If you think about how 3,000 hours fits into 2 years, if you're working full time, you're working over 2,000 hours a year. easy, um, you're really looking to identify the time where you're working, that you're working on the standards, and you demonstrate your proficiency while you're at work. Um, there's also on-site mentorship and online. We just went through our mentor training. We had 2 back-to-back weeks of mentor training where we identify, they call them journey workers, which is a fancy way of saying certified teacher. And we trained up certified teachers in the schools, and they have to be on site, but they're a direct mentor for our apprentices. And so we've got a lot of really good mentors this year too. And it's very heartwarming to see that. Um, there's on-site mentorship online, like I mentioned. There's also we require 625 hours roughly of college coursework. That's the minimum that DOL requires. But UAA has a pathway that they've designed. And actually, again, I have to commend them because they took time to retool a bunch of classes to make them match up well with the DOL model, and also to be really reflective of, Alaska culture and language and people. So, I think that this is an amazing opportunity, and it's, because a lot of these new ideas get in there. And we also create an opportunity for apprentices who complete, they get a salary step increase. In fact, for at certain intervals, I think it's once a year, they get a salary step increase. It's either once every 6 months or once a year. And it can also be dictated by, if there's a labor union, they may set what the wage step increase is for that role. But the DOL requirements are that there is a wage step increase every so often throughout the program, including at the end where they get their step up. There's also training stipends, and we have a month-to-month stipend that we pay our apprentices of $750, which I know sounds massive, but when you're thinking about moms who've got kids that now have to go to daycare for an extra couple of hours, or you need to go and get some extra books instead of with your grocery money. I mean, it makes it a little bit easier for people to make that choice to go back to school. And so while the school year is going, we have those stipends. What is a tribal educator apprenticeship? And I think that we did talk about this. This is the definition. I don't think I'll read it to you guys, other than I do like the first part, where it says tribal educators ground students in their cultural identities and equip them with a 21st century academic, job, and career skill needed to be a successful graduate of K-12 education. A tribal educator facilitates and fosters the learning of students by blending Western educational pedagogy and the knowledge and best practices for cultural and traditional learning and training systems of the tribe they represent. Again, it's reflective of the community. So that's kind of what I liked in that. I'd be happy to share this PowerPoint if anybody wants to go through and read all the extra stuff in there. I could also share, if anybody wanted it, and I'll drop my email maybe in the chat, or maybe Cheryl, you could drop your email. We do have our standards of apprenticeship, which we're always happy to share with folks. And that's the meat of our program, where we have the deed standards and then also the ICC standards that we crosswalked in order to demonstrate the proficiency of our apprentices while they work. Okay, so if you imagine you're going through your 3,000 hours in your apprenticeship, so how do you earn those hours? Well, here's one example, and this is straight out of the deed playbook. Collaborate with other educators to develop education programs that incorporate this one's out of ICC and the Alaska Cultural Standards. It actually shows it right on the left. Program standards that incorporate local ways of knowing and being. And item A says incorporate local resources, individuals such as elders, knowledge bearers, and community features and phenomena into structural design. And then it recommends that they spend about 25 hours working on that. And then the apprentice will bring their form back to their mentor when they've either demonstrated their competency or they've demonstrated their proficiency. 2 different steps, and the mentor signs off on them both. When the log is entirely filled out, when it's completed, that's when the apprentice has completed their on-the-job training for that segment. There's one thing that's cool about apprenticeships is that if you come into it with transcripts and or previous work experience, you actually get a boost up in the apprenticeship. And it's up to the sponsor, I guess it's up to the creator of the apprenticeship, um, how much or what the policy is for how much credit you get. Let's say if you work 3 years already as a teacher aide and you're starting to be a paraprofessional, you can still get some of these hours signed off just by way of you having that previous experience. And DOL allows for that, and that's something that's unique to this type of training program. And it's awfully respectful of those folks who put in, 10, 15, 20 years in a school, and now they're going back to get their certificate. Give them that acknowledgement that they've already got the ability that we're looking for. All right, Alaska standards. So you guys would probably recognize these out of the DEED playbook, or InTask, and Alaska 2, 3, and 5. Evaluate the student work products and effort through a variety of means such as observation, rubrics, formative, summative assessment. Right, 27 hours. Again, these are things that the employee would normally be doing during the day anyway. We're just asking that they keep track of it, bring it to their mentor, demonstrate that proficiency and the competency, and get them signed off. And that takes care of their on-the-job learning. All right, and this is before we finish. I think this might be the one we used in the apprenticeship, but this is an example, let's say, of what the UAA courses look like. I think there's 105, 108. I think, yeah, there's a couple of changes in there, but it does demonstrate how the classes are broken up over that first semester. So you have like August through October, and they can take 2 classes in that time period, which is an 8-week period, and get 6 credits. They can take another 6 credits then from October to December, right? And so you got 12 credits by the end of the semester, and they basically been working full time and going to school, and so they're able to rack up credits pretty fast. I think our students have been very impressed, or our apprentices feel like it's been pretty easy for them to get a handle on those credits. Related instruction. So the RTI will include the following activities and apprentice supports. So this is more like, it's a case manager, number 1, providing assistance with obtaining resources, RTI tracking, recording. It's 2 journey person, again, mentor teacher trainings per year, and best practices held in a central location. And like I said, we just did 2 back-to-back trainings, but it's 1 training overall. We're going to do another one mid-year. And that also gives some of your mentors that development and support that gives them, some gratitude for the effort that they're putting into this. Apprentice cohort travel to 2 annual trainings held in a central location. So right now, our first annual training last year was in Hilo, Hawaii. We have a Hilo place-based learning boot camp that we've developed, which is amazing. I think I talk about it in a minute, but we really knocked it out of the park with some of these extracurricular activities. It's fun when you get into it. And then we do weekly online video conference-based cohort support and learning activities with tutoring support. And actually, that's more in the ballpark of UAA. And they do those weekly meetings where we just sort of have open office hours if the apprentices need us. I don't know if you had anything to add, Nicole. I see you in there. All right. Becoming a tribal educator. So again, we talked about 2 different models, and I think I'm going over time here, so I'll try and speed it up. Tribal Educator 1 is equivalent to the AA. It's about 2 years, but people can take it as quickly or as slowly as they feel inclined. And if you come into it with experience, it goes fast. If, let's say, you're just starting out and you need to take maybe 3 credits at a time to UAA, or you're working part-time, that's okay. The schedule, will fit to you. We let you work and learn with on-the-job learning. This is fantastic because we've got a lot of people who can't leave the village to go to a 4-year program somewhere centrally located, which would be nice. But let's face it, you have family and kids and subsistence and community, and then a job. Um, Being able to complete this type of education now while you're working is really going to make a difference for a lot of the people that we'd like to see teaching in our villages. So it takes UAA online courses. Again, UAA is the one in the state who's kind of pioneered how to make these courses work with an apprenticeship. And then there's mentorship. You have to think about training and preparing them, and then site visits, and then DOL certification. Same thing with the tribal educator too, right? That's just 2 more years, and that one results in the ECE bachelor's degree. Right now, we're only doing ECE. Maybe we'll do better things, other bigger things, K-12 later on, but ECE is great. There's plenty of ECE people out there that would like to be trained, and yeah, the fundamentals that you would get through the program, I think, would apply well, at any age range. So again, work and learn with OJL, courses with UAA, mentorship, DOL certification. It promotes that long-term academic success, which would otherwise be a big challenge in rural areas. It does focus on those deed standards. It also now includes those indigenous standards, which are very important. And it provides funding for Alaska Native professional development. We do let everybody join, but we really want to make sure that we're getting those people from our rural communities signed up and trained. And it engages that regional stakeholder in education. And this is also important, where we've become very close to these school districts, and we've been a player with a vested interest in their success. And it provides professional certifications through the Department of Labor. Again, those are transferable nationally. So not that you want your employees leaving, but unlike, let's say, a teacher certificate, where it's good in the state of Alaska, this DOL certificate stays with you. That's fantastic. So there's also that pathway. Project design completion. So we've already completed one. We're looking to complete Tribal Educator 2 by the beginning of next year. Reduce turnover, increase student performance, yada, yada. So how to apply? We would give you an application. First, your employer would sign up, and then we would give you an application. We get your ID, and then we need to collect diploma, GED transcripts, and a letter from your employer regarding the previous experience. So any questions or ideas, you can take down our emails. I guess I don't know how much time we have, but you can also email us if you are interested in finding out more. If you'd like to talk to us about our program and learn about what we do, yeah, we're very proud of it. So thank you for listening. I think this survey is still up if you want to take it. If not, don't worry about it if it doesn't work. And I just wanted to say thank you all for listening. And I guess I'll pass it back to Dominica.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Nicole, would you like to add anything else? Thank you. That's been so so amazing, and that's exactly what we need here in Alaska. So thank you for putting the hard work to make it happen for our students.
I'd just like to say that, seeing Ryan and his team at the Arctic Slope Community Foundation, they are so organized and so passionate. And they're just, I've never met a more organized organization before. Really, and they're really making a difference. And I think it was probably my second week on the job, and I remember Ryan was out hand delivering books to apprentices and checking in with them personally. And so it's just, they really have a great program, and it's great to be working with them for sure.
Thank you so much. We did get a question from Nick. Any teacher apprenticeship programs for the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta region, Lower Yukon School District?
So, and I didn't see that question. I would say that LKSD, not yet, but we're always interested in meeting a new prospective partner. I know that they do some good things with training out there in LKSD, and so that's not to say that they haven't already done some pioneering stuff. But LYSD, we do have an employer acceptance agreement now that's active, and if you are interested in finding out more, please get in touch with us, and then we can refer you to the right person at LYSD who can make sure you get signed up.
Thank you. I think someone would like to get the survey again, if possible, that QR code. I could, if Ryan is going to share the PowerPoint presentation with me, I can then distribute and make sure that our attendees get that survey. So thank you, very useful information. Good luck to all of you. And I am absolutely thrilled and very grateful for your presence today and for spreading this information among our attendees. And hopefully there will be more partnerships coming out of this. Thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.